Well, I guess the ending of that came mercifully, or did it? I mean, is this just the beginning of the pain? We'll see after this. But first, if you want to be a part of the show, be sure to join the conversation across all of the social media, that being the YouTube chat, the Twitter sphere, or the X sphere, I guess as it is now, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, the shenanigans over on Reddit, Discord, TikTok, and all of the great articles and more over at tealtownusa.com. Of course, support the pod over at Venmo at tealtownusa. It helps us out, and we really, really appreciate all of your help. And I think we're going to need more of it, right? Well, I am pleased to be joined by Jules. And Jules, I mean, I don't know what to say at this point.
Me neither. I mean, I'm always the one who tries to like cheer us up after a loss, but like I genuinely don't know what to say. Like, there's a photo going around on Twitter right now with like this poor kid being like, "This is my first Sharks game." Um, Go check out my Twitter if you really want the old positive, upbeat energy. But like, listen, this game was brutal. There's really nothing else to say. They just didn't make it the worst shutout in their franchise history, thanks to Zetterlund scoring a very much so goaltender interference goal. So.
Yeah. I mean, and it was it was lucky that it didn't get called back. I think they were just you know,
I think they felt bad for us at that
yeah.
point. It's
Yeah.
10-0. Chill.
I mean, I just I don't know. I don't know anymore. And I think we started this with like, how are we going to make this better? How are we going to break this down? I guess at this point, Jules, we've got the fact that Zetterlund scored a goal and a couple of assists.
At
And it,
this point, we should just show Celebrini highlights.
I mean, I mean,
So
yeah,
if
yeah.
we want to take out positives, like things are gonna get better. Like, I'm not just saying that because I'm high on all the Sharks prospects. They have a good prospect pool. Um, like things are gonna get better. This year's gonna be jack shit. But like that's all. Like, this game, the Canucks demolished them. Vlasic couldn't clear the puck out the first goal, and they score like 2 minutes in. Like, I don't know what to tell you. The Sharks are not a good team. We all knew that.
Did we think it was going to be this bad, though? I mean, we keep talking about this, but like, did we think it was going to be this bad?
Here's my thought on it. Greer took a lot of chances on guys who maybe are past their prime or are gambling on themselves, and none of them have really panned out. If Zadina, if Hoffman, if even Granlund gets 1 or 2 goals, this could be a completely different season. The Sharks could be two, like, I don't know, 7-1 for all I know. But like, the project players are not working. Nothing's really working. I think Greer envisioned this team to be bad because he saw a Boston man and he was like, yes, I want him in my prospect pool. But I don't think he meant to create the worst team ever in NHL history. So like, there's a difference. And we have to remember, guys, players don't try to tank. Like, at this point, I would just feel bad for the players because like, they're also human. They also go through emotions just like fans. So like, players don't try to tank. GMs could make a team that's bad. I don't think Mike Greer is purposely going out to say, hey, I'm going to create the worst team in franchise history. No. So, yeah.
No, I mean, I don't think so either. But you just look at how incredibly inept the team is, and I think you look at just how lacking structure the play is,
Yeah.
and then I mean, quite frankly, the effort. I,
The effort's just not there. And I don't know, I don't know what's going on with this team. Like, listen, up front, honestly, I thought they were pretty good going into the year. Like, they have players who can score. So is it something between the ears? Like, I mean, at this point, I don't know what to say because, like, we all knew Vlasic was bad, but, like, at this point, they're not even fucking sorry, they're not even trying.
no, no. I mean, that team tonight really looked deflated. It looked completely like, do we even want to be here? I mean, we were asking, can you forfeit a season, and things like that, right? It's just like, hey, can we take an L on the season? But
like, also, there's human beings involved here.
exactly, exactly, and
like, sorry, go.
no, I mean, it's you're 10 games in,
Like,
and you got scored 10 goals against.
Here's my thought, and I saw someone put in the chat that Greer's going over quantity over quality. Listen, we had to actually rebuild like a real team. Otherwise, we'd be stuck in mediocrity. So unless you guys wanted to be stuck in mediocrity for 10 years, this was bound to happen. Now, did we expect it to be this bad? No, absolutely not. No one expects their team to lose 10-1 to the Vancouver Canucks, who I called mid last episode, and I think that's why they demolished the Sharks. But, like, this was going to happen. The Sharks needed a season where they were going to absolutely suck to get a good prospect. Now, should have they done that to get Connor Bedard? Yes, but Noah Gregor decided to get a hat trick, so that didn't happen. But
we got a couple of super chats we got to do real quick. Jules, thank you so much. Just take a quick pause on that. Just another Randy G. Thank you so much. A $20 super chat donation. God bless you guys for covering every game, including the poor excuse for an actual NHL game. Go Sharks. Thank you so much. Just another Randy G. I know I don't know how we do it sometimes, but you guys make it better, and I really appreciate it. Burge 7F91 super chat donation $18. Thank you, Burge. Guessing that this is now the price of one beer at the tank. You guys need it. You are so thoughtful, Burge. We really
I am
appreciate
underage.
it. Well, you know what? I think AJ, myself, will definitely take you up on that offer, and we really do appreciate it. And again, it goes to the Get Puck Guy, new internet fund, or any of the other maintenance and upkeep that we got going on. But I mean, and look, we do it for all the fans, because again, this is an outlet for you. It's an outlet for us. And I will always love this team just for the fact that it's just a great logo, right? I mean, and I love the logo of this team, and it will always be my childhood team. It will always be the team that is from my home. So I'm always gonna rep Teal, but I wish we would have seen this bottom out maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, right? That's when you would have wished the team would have realized, come to its senses, like, look, that it needed to be rebuilt. And I think we had seen the interior of the house rot. And I think, Doug Wilson tried to come in and brace the foundation, but his work really didn't do so well. And if not, it just, made, basically you tried to rebuild the foundation of the, of the team with wet cement. And
the fans were calling for a rebuild. So we all wanted a rebuild. We were saying since 2020 the Sharks had to rebuild. This is a real rebuild.
Yeah, and I mean, Ricky brings up a great point.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't put us into a full rebuild last year, but we should have been in a full rebuild last year.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Quite honest, the rebuild should have happened after the Western Conference exit. The team really should have looked into the mirror and said, how can we maximize our value for a Timo Meier and a Hurdle now, save them the pain of this, and start looking towards the future. And it's tough because you want the team to be better and you want to see a winning product. But you also know that this pain that the team is going through needed to happen, and it should have happened earlier.
Yeah, this rebuild, I mean, I'll be the first one to say I thought it should, again, I agree. I thought it should happen after they lost to St. Louis in the conference final. So this was bound to happen. The Sharks just took a very long way to get here. This season, they don't have EK65 putting up 101 points. They don't have Timo Meier botching goals like crazy. Now we'll see how Greer has done on those trades. I don't know. Like I love Quentin Musty. I don't know how he's going to do in the NHL, but like this had to happen in order for the Sharks to move forward and hopefully one day make the playoff run that we all want. Do that. We have to get through this season in order to get to better days. And that's kind of just like really the plain point of it. Like, I don't think the Sharks are going to lose 10-1 every game, but are they going to win a lot of games? No. That's it.
No, I mean you're absolutely right. And I think that you just want to see a better effort. I think you want to see a team that will take the next step and will be able to grow as a team.
Yeah.
But there's not enough around the team right now, and I think we had even started talking about the prospects, and I think we should really have a serious discussion on, was it correct to keep William Eklund in North America? Should he have stayed an extra year in Sweden?
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I think if the Sharks were in this bad of a situation last year, I would have sent Eklund back to Sweden. I don't think Mike Grier meant to put Eklund in this position with this team. That is my thought. I think if the Sharks were in this position last year, yes, they should have sent Eklund back to Sweden, but Eklund's not going to develop anything in Sweden right now. I'm just going to be honest. Like, he's going to, at this point, I don't know what to do with that guy because, like, I genuinely don't think Grier meant to put him in this situation. That's my thought. Like, I don't know. Like, will going back to Sweden this year help? Maybe, to be on a better team. But are the Sharks really going to do that? No. And if you were looking at last year, I would say they did the right thing by putting him in the AHL. At least he's got some experience playing on the American ice. So I really don't know. Like, should have, what haves, could haves at this point. I don't know. I don't think yeah. But
this is from Nico Sturm. Thank you so much, AJ, for grabbing the quotes for us. It's not for a lack of trying, but you can tell we're in the dumps right now, confidence-wise. It's not about the coaches. It's too easy to play against us right now. Yeah.
And, like, honestly, Sturm had probably his worst game as a Shark, but I could say that about all the Sharks right now. Do we send Eklund to the CUDA? Guys, Eklund needs to be in the NHL. I hate to say it, but, like, I get the point of, hey, maybe sending him to a better team is going to do better for him. I told this to Lacey, but like Landi, but remember Jack Hughes' first season where the New Jersey Devils were absolutely horrible and he was basically on a horrible team, not as bad as the Sharks, but like he was on a horrible team and he developed just fine. Like, do I think Grier meant to put Eklund in this situation? No. Do I think it'll affect his development? Maybe, but let's see how Eklund does when he actually has actual tools around him instead of this shit show that I don't think actually Grier meant to do, in all honesty. I'm sorry, I'm grasping at straws here, but I don't know if sending Eklund back for another year in Sweden would have changed the outcome of this, what's going on right now. Like, genuinely, I don't know if that would have.
We didn't respond to the Kakkonen hit because none of us saw it. Nico Sturm.
I don't believe that.
I don't either.
That's like, stand up for your fucking teammates.
Yeah. No, I am right there with you. All right. I mean, at this point,
Greer has not been fleeced from every trade, guys. Let's relax on that. A lot of these trades haven't panned out, and if you look at the Penguins right now, they're in the standings. They're not doing great. I know it's early. Greer was only arguably fleeced in the Burns trade. The Timo trade is going to work out just fine. Again, I don't know how Musty's going to turn out, but if he turns out of how a lot of people think he's going to turn out, that Timo trade's going to look just fine. Let's not get all negative and chaotic about this. Things will work out.
Okay, let's try that again. I'm having some. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Good. Well, I think my picture just froze, which is unfortunate. Let's try this. Okay, that one seems to work. So why don't we do this? Let's delete this one. Let's add this one. Okay. So let's see if this gets better. So, I'm not so what were people saying? I was dubbed.
No, you're all good.
I looked like I had some kind of dubbing sound effect.
Oh God. Oh God. No, people were just saying Greer got someone's mentioned that Greer got fleeced in every trade, and I was like, let's back up for a second. Greer did not get fleeced in every trade. Let's see how those trades turn out in like 5 to 3 years, y'all, down the road. Like Musty's gonna be fine. The Meyer trade looks pretty good. So that's all I was saying.
I mean, look, and we were talking about this too. I mean, I like Muka Madulin, and I mean, I think that there are some pieces out of that trade that are going to end up being good. But I wonder. Well, first off, I mean, Timo doesn't look like he's acclimated to his climate right now so great. So I guess there's that. That there's that silver lining, if you want to call it that. But I mean, Timo's not going to do anything different. I mean, there's not.
What would Timo do on this team?
Right.
What would Pavs do on this team?
What would Pavs do on this team?
Like, we're all saying, like, the Sharks should have just rebuilt the minute that conference final ended.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because you saw at where in which Jumbo was in the career arc, and you saw where Couture was going to start to fall off. You knew that you had a limited time with Burns, and by adding Carlson and then adding insult to injury and adding the extension to Carlson, we all said that move was going to put the franchise back by 5 years.
And it did.
Yeah. And I think
like on it, the Sharks could have arguably already had a new young core at this point if they just decided, hey, look at us. We are old. We are slow. We need to rebuild. And we need to get rid of Vlasic as quickly as humanly possible. Because the minute Braun left, Vlasic just went down a cliff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think even that team that made it to the Western Conference Finals, had Hertl and Timo been fully healthy and had Carlson been fully healthy, it would have been interesting. But it was to the point where even if they did beat St. Louis, they were going to be so beat up going into that Stanley Cup final that I think the team from the East still would have won anyways.
No, I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, honestly, I honestly did not think if the Sharks made it out of St. Louis that they would beat Boston. I just didn't think that was going to happen. And I thought the Sharks would not sign Carlson to an 8-year, $11.5 million extension. Like, I thought they were going to, go a different direction, and I think a lot of us did, and it set the franchise back. Like, you look at giving up Stutzel, giving up Norris, and I get the Sens had their first round pick, but it'd be a lot more stomachable if the Sharks admitted, hey, we suck, we're gonna go into a rebuild here. And yeah,
I think not protecting that Carlson pick, That first round
Was a
pick
giant mistake.
was a giant mistake. Doug Wilson had never been too fond of having strings attached to
Yeah.
trades.
Well,
Um,
Doug Wilson was never fond of 8-year contracts and then suddenly decided, hey, we're going to give out abysmal of them. So I don't know what went through. Like, I don't know what happened. He just said all of a sudden, we're going to give out all the 8-year contracts on Earth.
I
Um,
mean, the 8-year contract makes sense for a player coming out of his ELC.
yeah.
That to me is the only time an 8-year contract really makes sense. It's
Yeah.
his first contract out of his ELC. So he's had 3 years to establish himself in the league. If he's going to be an upper echelon elite type player, that's when you sign the 8-year contract, and that's when you maximize. That's when you maximize term and AAV on a player who's on the up. Because I think now it's almost as if you give the bridge, you then proceed to give the player even more leverage.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't I mean, I'm fine with 8-year deals, but like after the ELC, I wasn't fine with the 8-year deals that happened after that, like Vlasic's ELC, not ELC, Vlasic's deal and Carlson's deal. And looking back at it, Vlasic was really good at the time. Just shorter term contracts would have probably been better for him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, shorter term contracts, or keeping it to the 5-6 years. Um, and again, you just hand longer term contracts to young players and players that are going to be impact makers.
Yeah.
Um, and
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 Vlasic was that for a while. I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm just saying that was not the listen, mistakes were made, whatever, but like that just wasn't the right move at the time, I think.
yeah, 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 exactly. And I mean, I know, we've had this discussion ad nauseum, and we have talked about how this is a team that can't do a traditional type rebuild. It was continually repeated to us until it was blue in the face that this team was not going to accept a rebuild.
Yeah.
And yet we're still ending up here anyways. And that reluctance to say, look, we need to take a step back for a couple years and we need to regenerate picks. We need to really focus our efforts and not make the AHL an afterthought.
Yeah.
We had talked about, is the current management fit to lead this team out of one of its most darkest periods since its founding.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure that it is. John McCarthy does not inspire a lot of confidence to
Oh my God, John
tactically
McCarthy.
prepare
Yeah.
hockey players.
No, yeah, I honestly am not. I was not a fan of that hire when it started, and it's just proven to not be a good hire. Um, I thought, yeah, the Barracuda have their own issues, and what sucks is that none of the teams are good right now. So we can't say, oh yes, let's send players down to the Barracuda to play on a good team. None of the teams are good right now. None of the teams are clicking. None of the teams are gelling. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah, and
I
then it
don't know what
just
else to say.
yeah, and then it just leads us to these kinds of conversations in which we then start to have to dissect the franchise move by move. But it does feel that as if when you're in the position at which you're in with the Sharks, where you need every single move to pan out. You need every
Yeah,
single pick to be worth its value in the draft. And you need to go out and you need to make smart free agent signings that are both going to be a good veteran presence, but that are also not going to embarrass themselves on the
yeah,
ice. And from what I have seen so far, draft picks, we're not going to get any answers on the organization's rankings on draft picks for at least 3 years. I always believe in that, and that's when you're going to see maybe the very first fruits of your first draft will be 3 years later. That's what I give for a staff. For a coaching staff and for implementing a system, I give that 1 to 2 seasons. And now we're in David Quinn season 3, and I don't see any semblance of a system sticking here. So that is on the darker side of the equation here when we're talking about the 3 parts of the stool. And then when you talk about the last part, the free agent signings and being able to identify pro talent that will add to the locker room, that will provide a semblance of professionalism to the team, I don't see that in the free agent signings that have been happening here.
No, I mean luckily,
Nico Sturm, I really love Nico Sturm. I love the leadership that he brings, and that's the kind of player that you want. But, having a player like Kyle Burrows taking a spot that he does, having a player like Matt Benning.
Yeah, those will. Like the defensive contracts, I don't understand what's going on, but like Greer, like I think AJ mentioned in Pucknologist, Greer seems to be like whenever Vlasic deal ends, that's when the Sharks are going to seem to get back on the horse. So it seems like
he's not wrong, but I think that's when the start to get back on the horse. You know what I mean? I think that's when it becomes at a point in which the Sharks can now start to talk about a large free agent acquisition again, or looking at a foundational piece.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. And like, I think if everything works out well for the Sharks, they get Celebrini, like it's going to be a giant step to help what they currently have. So that in a few years, this young core and they can come in and develop together. And you're no longer stuck with these like ridiculously long contracts. I mean, yes, Hurdle, but honestly, you can't just get away with like throw all the vets away and just have a team of young guns. You need some veterans to bring them in.
Oh yeah, no. There needs to be a balance. There needs to be a balance, and I truly believe that. And I think it's the right idea by the team to make the kids work for their spots and stuff. I just.
But guys, Pavelski wouldn't do anything for this team. I'm reading the chat. Pavelski's not going to do shit for this team. This team should have fucking rebuilded when the conference final end. If you want to argue about that Pavelski would help this team, he's not going to help this team. This team needs a rebuild. It's happening this year. We can either cry about it or we can accept the fact that, hey, we might actually be good in like 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. What I worry about the most is I want a player like Hurdle to come in and to be able to play on a team in which he can have some pride to play for.
And hopefully in 3 years that happens, or 4 years, or however long this rebuild lasts, where we're talking about this in a different way and the Sharks are like beating teams 10-1 and like Hurdle's pulling up like 6 assists or something like that.
Yeah. I exactly. And I think maybe having a little bit more of an eye towards the future at the end instead of continually reloading the gun and
like
just
nothing's going to change right now, guys. Like, we have to kind of accept it. Nothing's going to change. The only thing we can look forward to is our prospects are playing well, and then you can argue in the chat with us that they're all going to be bust. Sure, whatever. I don't really care. But we have prospects to look forward to.
I don't think they're going to be a bust.
Yeah, I'm just Oh, did we lose Landi?
No, I'm here.
Oh.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, sorry, my screen glitched out. But my point is like, listen, the Sharks are gonna be better. It's just gonna take a little while, and this season's gonna suck. So I'd suggest googling some Celebrini highlights and some Iserman highlights. Maybe throwing some Adam Yurchek highlights in there and enjoy it, because the Sharks are kind of not gonna be bearable to watch. And if you just think that Pavelski or whoever else, Timo, would help this team, they wouldn't. Like, they just wouldn't. This team needed a rebuild. Unless you want to be stuck in mediocrity for 10 more years, this is what you get.
Yeah, exactly. It needed to happen. So, I think that ends this little session here, and I really appreciate everybody for coming and reaching out and supporting the podcast. And again, we do it for the fans. So in this time, that we're in right now, I mean, everybody's nerves are frayed. I think, I'm at the point where it's apathetic. I think we've got, it's hard to muster from game to game right now. So I think, keeping the comments at a place in which we can, be constructive, I think is going to be the best. I think right now for Sharks fandom, I think there's a lot of passion. There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of trying to point blame at one place or another. But I think, all we can do is look at where we're at, look at what we can continue to build, and then start to develop a strategy in which you can be successful for the short term, the medium term, and the long term.
No, yeah, 100%. And like, this rebuild isn't going to be easy, but like, if we go ahead and like start dishing at each other, and like, we kind of have to stick together, and like the Shark Tank should be packed. Like, we all know that. Like, it's okay not to go to games, but like, the minute this team gets better, if y'all come back on this bandwagon and not sticking through the hardest part, what kind of a fan are you?
Yeah, right.
So like, I don't know what to tell you guys. This is going to be a rough season. We're going to be on here for however many more games. I can't keep track of it. But like, you can either choose to like say, okay, this is going to be a shitty season. I'm going to accept the fact, and I'm going to look at the positives, like Musty playing really well, like Smith playing really well, like Eklund. We could debate whatever the fuck to do with him, but he's playing well. But yeah, like, I don't know what else to tell you guys. You can choose to either stick with this team and stick it through, or you can choose to get off the horse and go cheer for another team who's better. I don't care.
Or
but
just,
this is not going to be
take a break. I mean, that's the thing too. Is, I mean, there's nobody. You have the option of turning away, right? I mean, you have the option of just reading the box score and keeping an eye out. And I think you have us to tell you, where the team is at in the arc. But, again, I think there needs to be a certain level of dedication to people's fandom. And I'm not going to tell people how to fan, but there are good times and bad times in sports. And that's just the way that it goes. And the team where it's at in its arc,
and you can at me on Twitter and I'll send you some prospect highlights. But like, at this point, that's my offering. I will send y'all prospect highlights. Just bear with us. Because it'll get better, y'all. Like, genuinely, like, I know this all sucks, and like, I'm sorry we don't have answers for you on how to make this team better, but like, I'm sure Greer has a plan. Quinn's not going to get fired. McCarthy, I can argue, could get fired, but they have a plan. Just bear it out. 10-1 losses are not going to happen every game. And I think I told this, but I think the Sharks are honestly going to win versus Pittsburgh. And y'all know I'm the biggest tank advocate, but at this point, I'm cheering for a win.
Yeah.
Let's all cheer for a win on whenever they play Saturday.
Right. Saturday. Exactly. All right. Well, folks, in case you missed it and you want to catch us again, check us out on the YouTube channel. Of course, we go live after every single game. I can't attest to the quality of which the show will be after every game, but we're here. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and smash the subscribe button and hit the bell to get notified when we go live. And of course, you can also check us out across all of the podcasts catchers of choice, whether it's the Apple Podcast Store or the Google Play Store, the YouTube Rewind, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, Audacity, and of course always at tealtownusa.com. And I mean, we keep trucking. We're here. We're alive, and we have a team to pull out. To pull out a Pierre Dorian quote. We have a team. Jules, where can the people find you, and what are your final thoughts?
Things will get better. You can find me at Sharks Jules. I try to post prospect updates when I can. I'll keep doing that. And yeah, things will get better. Just we have to get through this one season and everything will be fine. And bringing back our entire old core is not going to help this team right now. So there you go.
Yeah, let's not bring back the old guys. I'm happy with Team Young Guns. That's for sure. That's kind of my final thoughts for the evening, anyways. And
Team Young Guns, please.
Team Young Guns, please. And get somebody who can help shepherd them along. But anyhow,
yeah. And Hurdle's the perfect one for that.
Yeah, right. For all of us at Teal Town, we really do appreciate it. Thank you for sticking around. And for all of us, keep it real. Keep it Teal. Keep it real, Teal. Thank you. And we will see you after the Penguins game. I hope it's better than this.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. This is rock bottom, right?
It better be. I can't handle another 10-1 loss.
All right, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll see you after the next game.